It's now a huge pleasure for me to introduce someone who has truly mastered turning obstacles into opportunities. Well done, Orly Mager. Orly is the Vice President at Maysbolt, and with 20 years of experience, although when she stands up here, you're going to say she doesn't look old enough to have 20 years of experience, but believe you me, she has. I've checked it out on her LinkedIn profile, I've seen her CV, it's true. But Orly has successfully navigated complex sales and marketing environments, often those that would need, for most of us, a treasure map and a compass. And I know someone that's got a compass somewhere. Where's he gone? It's like that would need a treasure map and a compass for us to navigate. Orly has done it with such finesse, that when she goes and closes a deal, you guys would wonder what's hard about it in the first place. Orly honed her skills in both the Silicon Valley in the United States of America, just in case any of you don't know your geography, as well as here in Israel. In actual fact, she spent 17 years in California. So you're really a California girl by heart, right? Yeah? Now, a couple of fun facts about Orly that you won't find on her LinkedIn profile. And one of them you may guess because of the California connection. She's actually an avid surfer. How many of you surf? Perfect. Look at that. It's like you're in good company, Orly. Yeah. Now, she loves surfing so much, that often she'll bring surfing analogies into her professional presentations. So don't be surprised if you catch a few of those today. Right? Whether Orly is catching a big wave or closing a deal, yet she does it with such finesse that she puts order around chaos. And this lady tried to retire, but again, when she steps up on stage, you're going to see that she's much too young for retirement. Yet she tried to retire once, and it was that, putting order around chaos, that led the CEO at Maysbolt to give her the job that she's got today. So Orly's session, is going to be titled The Guiding Principles of Sales Stardom. Sales Stardom, I did get that right. And she's going to be sharing what top sellers do in order to help ensure that they're not the ones getting in the way of closing the deal. Because guess what? Our own worst enemies are ourselves, right? So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome Orly Mager up onto stage. The only one to get walk-on music, our California girl. And I got her a little gift. Gone surfing. Hang it on your door at weekends. Orly Mager.
Am I live? Alrighty. Well, thank you very much, Colin, for the great introduction. I'm also a scuba diver, so do you mind if I take the octopus? Okay, so it's a really pleasure of being here. So anyhow, in this session, I'm going to take you into the mind of a sales superstar and get you in touch with your sales superstar hero. So just like Colin said, I was lucky enough to start my career in Silicon Valley. And I think what's great about the Americans, you can say whatever you want to say about them, but they know how to sell. So I started working with many successful startups. Actually, I counted that 5 of the startups that I worked for went public or got acquired. And that actually gave me some financial freedom, even though I didn't enjoy all of these exit, only 2 of them. One of these companies were actually WebEx back in the days. So anyhow, I was excited that I was lucky enough to work for companies that I started. There were only like 25 salespeople. And several years after that, we were at 200 people. So you learn a lot in these situations. And I really love sales. I know that sometimes people will come and tell me, wow, I could have never done sales. And my answer to them, I could not done anything but sales. I just love the thrill of winning a deal and actually the thrill of making money. Hey, that's what we're here for. However, in sales, there are just so many things that are just out of your control. And it can be internal politics. All of a sudden, and I think previous presenter says there's a new player that comes in, a new decision maker, and they have their own rules, or maybe there's like budget cuts, and also external. I had situations that competition came in and made my product obsolete. It took a while, but still, you cannot overcome that when you're in sales. So there's a lot of things that are out of your control, okay? So I want to start with a brief exercise. I want to get the ball rolling. And in this exercise, think about yourself and other people on your team. You are all have the same opportunity. You have a lane, you have bowling balls. Each bowling ball is an opportunity, different sizes. A strike is a closed one. And we're going to play a little game. And by the way, you all been bowling for like 3 years, so you all have experience. So are you ready to start with the simulation? All right, buckle your seat. So I'm going to take you back to the end of 2023. And you're working with a Fortune 500 company, very well-known brand name, of course. And they tell you that they actually source your solution. You have the right solution for them. And what's going to happen next is that they're going to publish a tender. Obviously, there's lots of guidelines for the tender. And you know that, by the way, you were able, through the back door, to even influence the tender a bit. And you're starting to respond to the tender at the beginning of 2024. There's lots of work. Obviously, you've been given like a couple of months for that process. And you need your R&D team, obviously. You need your finance. You need different groups in your company to actually to provide that book. And in addition to that, I don't know how many of you are actually in enterprise sales. There's also SAP Ariba. That's a wonderful system. I hope for you that you will never encounter it. But anyhow, you have to put all of these documents back there. And then after you've done all of this hard work, you submitted your pricing. About a month after that, you get the good news. Great, you are chosen. At this point, what's left, there's a service agreement of your company. And at this point, what's left is all the back and forth with legal. And in enterprise sales, that thing can take sometimes 3, sometimes 6 months. It is insane. Okay, so a lot of this thing is going on. You've been in touch with the purchasing guy. He tells you that it's moving forward, obviously your lawyer. And right now, I'm going to bring you back to present time. We are almost at the end of Q3. And at this point, all is left is a signature on the contract. Okay, great. You have other deals that are going on, and you're sitting in a meeting, and all of a sudden, you've got your smartwatch, you're looking, hey, there's an email that came from your prospect. Maybe you can share the great news very soon. Now, you're running, you're excusing yourself, you're taking a look at your smartphone, and what you see is, I'm sorry for the really bad news. Take a deep breath. You're counting on these deals. By the way, you're in enterprise sales. That deal is worth almost 25% of your sales quota, and the average sales cycle is just about 9 months. Okay, now you need to concentrate on the details, what the heck they say in that email. And they actually tell you, you know what? The company didn't do well. And what the CEO decided, and the board, they decided that they are not going to approve any new projects. You pick up the phone, you call the purchasing guy, you said, but wait a second, what if I'll offer you a discount? Sorry, this is a board mandate decision. Okay, so now, let's go back to the bowling alley, to you and your team. Now, think about other people on your team. And my question to you is, who do you think from your team will still be able to meet their sales target in 2024? Do you think that there are specific individuals that they will still be able to do it? And do you think that there are certain individuals that will not be able to recover? Now let me see a show of hands if you had specific people in mind. Okay, so I see quite a few hands here. And this is very, very interesting because the simulation was that we are leveling the playing field. It means all the conditions are similar, and still you thought that certain individuals will make it. And you know what? You're right, because sales is a reflection of you. It's a reflection of your attitude, your thoughts, your beliefs, and what you're going to do in this particular moment, in the moment that there is a big crisis. Are you going to spiral down of control, stress? What if? What if I'm not going to make it this year? What if I'm not going to make it to President Club? What if I won't be able to buy my wife this new car that she wants? There are so many what ifs. You can actually spend days in this downward spiral. Or this is going to be a turning point that you're going to decide, heck yeah, this is not going to bring me down. They are not going to control my destiny. And the one thing that you know in situations like that, anybody knows, even the most stressful person, you know that you need to act, and you need to act now. However, you act out. And the thing with salespeople, and I've seen it a lot over the years, I know that Colin said that I don't look my age, but I think I have 25 years of experience. But anyhow, when salespeople are acting out, what they do is they actually hold on to bad deals that they're not supposed to. And I can tell you that when I was in situations like that, what I did was the actual opposite. I decided that I'm going to clean my pipeline. I'm not going to be blindsided by deals that are not going to materialize. And when salespeople are acting out, they're afraid to ask the question. I used to ask my team, some people came out of a demo, how was the demo? It was great. I'm like, great, okay, what did they say? What value are we going to deliver? It was great. I'm like, great doesn't mean that they're going to be a customer. They just complimented you. What do they think? That they're going to be mean to you in a demo? Of course they're going to say great. But does it mean that they're actually going to allocate budget and buy your solution? That's a completely different story. And the only thing is about asking the really hard questions. And I used to get in situations when I told my prospect, I hear some hesitation in your voice. Can you share that with me? You have to be, and I think Colin said it before, you have 2 ears. You have to ask the hard questions. Another thing, because otherwise you're getting into pipe dreams instead of pipeline. And that's, as a VP sales, I cannot stand that. Because I have to report back to my CEO, who reports to the board, and if I'm wrong, my ass is on the line. So I really don't like that. So the question is, in situations like this, are you going to act? And how well are you going to act? But what happens is, as time to target shorten, you experience all kinds of levels of pain and stress. And it's not pretty. I've seen that. Actually, people are trying to, look kind of normal, but they're like walking around, they're like stress case, they cannot listen. They do all the opposite things. And I want to go back to the solution, because if sales is really a reflection of you, you know what it means? It means that 80% is you. And the economy and price and all the other things, these are just 20%. And that is very good, because you are not going to be a victim of circumstance. We are not here in sales. And the reason why certain people are always on the top, they also face economy. They also face price changes, currency exchange if you're dealing with international sales. But they know that this is not going to define them. And that's a very good news, because you can influence your reality. And I'm going to, a little bit of a sidetrack. If you think about, I don't know who actually, if you think about those things, quantum physics, for example, the really famous Schrödinger cat, the observer of the experience actually influenced the experience. That will determine the results of the experience. So this is actually very, very good news. You have to do few things in order to make it happen. I'm going to start with the first one. First one is commitment. How well are you committed to your work? How well, oh, I'm sorry. First of all is choice, actually. You have to make a choice. And I've been in situations when I really question myself. Maybe I shouldn't do this. I'm a great salesperson, but maybe this is not the right situation for me. Maybe I should go find another job. And you know what? Whenever you are on the fence, you are actually not in your own team. And the best advice that I can tell you when you have thoughts like this that are actually dragging you down is you have to make a choice that you are on your own team. Team you. I'm on Team Orly. And that's where I want to align my thoughts. That's where I want to align my values and beliefs. I want to believe that I have the best customers. And anybody else can tell me, well, your territory sucks. Right now, the economy in your territory is the worst. No, I don't want to listen to that. You really have to think and you have to commit to yourself. And also, anybody here is a sports fan, Maccabi Tel Aviv? All right. So think about the cheerleader. Let's say that they lose a game. What does a cheerleader do? Do they go cheer the other team? No, they don't go cheer the other team just because there is a tough situation right now and they lost a game. They are sticking to Maccabi Tel Aviv. And that's what you need to do with yourself. You need to be the biggest cheerleader of yourself and commit to it. So the first thing is you have to apply yourself fully and commit. The second thing is work. Hard work. The best people, the most excellent people are actually invest the most amount of time in getting better. I used to have a sales manager, sales director, and he used to tell me, you know, if you were to go into the woods to cut wood, what would you do? You would sharpen your saw. You're a salesperson, you have to sharpen your tools. And he used to ask me every week, what book did you read? I'm telling you, those Americans, they're brilliant. They really know how to sell. So external work, and if you have to do like 10, 15 demos, or I don't know how many new meetings per week, you have to do it. But in this session, I'm talking about the internal work that you have to do with yourself. And I don't know if you ever heard the concept mental diet. It's very interesting. I actually heard it from a very young blogger. And the mental diet means that when you have thoughts that you are actually against yourself, you need to observe it, and you need to shift the direction. And one of these things, the problem is that the human soul, we're addicted. We're addicted to so many things. And we're addicted to our own negative patterns. And this is where we need to really, really watch out what is coming out of our mouths. And some of the things that I like to do with myself, let's say that I want to complain. Actually, I'm going to go back to surfing. I'm surfing and somebody just stole my wave. And I want to go back to a friend of mine and tell her, did you see that dude? He just stole my wave and he almost and I almost hurt myself. And I think to myself at that very moment, I'm going to bring really bad energy into this situation. And this is a defining moment. Because every time that I shut my mouth and I control my mouth, it's harder to control the thought, but the mouth is a bit easier. Every time that I do that, I can see that all of a sudden great things happen. And it happens in sales as well. So controlling what you're thinking, your thoughts. And one thing is also to accept reality without drama. We're not going to actually fight with reality. The fact that you lost a deal, it happens. It happens to all of us. And you may lose another deal and another deal. The question is, how are you going to interpret that situation? What type of thoughts and beliefs you are going to take on yourself after that? So, and another thing, I said that I wrote a lot of things here on the slide, kind of a busy slide for me. The last thing here that I like is also get to the know faster. When you are hanging on to deals that are not supposed to happen, this is the worst thing that you can do. Because you're doing that, then you're sitting with your manager, then your manager reports that, and you're talking about it in the forecasting. I actually went back to one of the calls that one of the people on my team did, and I see that there's like 7 different emails and follow-ups. Obviously, the customer, the prospect doesn't even reply. But when I looked into it, I saw that while the customer is in the ICP, ideal customer profile, he is in the ICP. However, not exactly. We usually work with commercialized banks that have millions of customers. They're actually a bank that gives loans to emerging countries. Not really. It's sort of in our ICP. A bank, cybersecurity expert. Sound about right, but you can't make somebody that cannot deliver value from your prospect a customer. It's just impossible. The value has to be there. So going back, you can shift your reality if you commit and if you do the work. And now, one more thing, like the greatest Steve Jobs used to say. The last thing is actually detach from the outcome. Now, you probably heard that in a lot of all kind of spiritual talks, never really in the sales context. And when I first thought about it, I said, how bizarre. How can I be detached from the outcome? I'm a salesperson. I have a target. I have a quota. It just doesn't make any sense. But what does it really mean to be detached to an outcome? It's the fact that you are detaching your emotions to a certain expectation. You are expecting that that particular prospect is actually going to close. And if it doesn't happen, you cannot focus on your work anymore. The only thing that you're doing, you're worrying about different things that may or may not happen. Now, the only thing that you can do in tough situations is to actually commit yourself even further. You want to do even a better job because now you don't really have time. That's the reality. And when you're going to do a good job and you're going to stick to your guidelines, and actually just this morning on the way over here, we have a situation here with an enterprise customer, and I'm talking to my CEO. And, you know, it's a huge customer. It's a dream customer. But you know what? There's one thing that they're not really following the guidelines. And he's like, maybe you should wait a day or two. I'm like, no, I'm not going to wait. This is the end of my quarter. And I'm not going to spend more professional services resources on this particular deal until I'm going to get, it's not just the MSA, I need the order form in hand. That's when I can really book the deal. That's where I'm going to commit. But if I'm spiraling out of control, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Your creativity cannot work because you're just worrying. So the only thing that you can do, the only favor that you can do for yourself is really detach from the outcome. And it's not easy, by the way. You're going to try and you're going to fall. And you know what's interesting about detachment? Because it's not about detaching to your outcome. You're looking at other salesperson in your team, and I'm like, hey, you know, this guy just closed a great deal. How did that happen? Maybe he's better than me. And you also start to spiral out of control. So there's no end to that. And this is what's going on internally. And this is the one thing that you have to block. I remember that I had a friend that he used to play professional basketball. And he said, you know what's happened when you're playing basketball? You're standing and you try to actually make that shot, you know, for the 3-point. And you hear all this trash talk. They're trying to distract you. But that's also what happened in sales. It's not about the marketing person that just doesn't want to give you the best leads. You have to stay focused and detach from the outcome so you can work and do your very best. And like I said before, you know, you are going to fall. And you need to rise. How many times? As many times as it happened. And I like the word simulation because I feel like my life is like thousands of simulations, falling again and again in the same holes. But you know what? When you're looking at yourself, you need to see how long does it take me to come back, to be my own great self again. And if you're shortening that time, you're doing great. So it's not about falling, it's about rising. And I'm going to leave you with a great quote from Nelson Mandela. Our greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, our own California girl, Orly Mager. Orly, thank you so much.